Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm super excited to do this interview with you, Nasir. We can just jump straight into it and
Yeah.
go a little bit over about, who you are, what the business is. Just give a little bit of an intro.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on here. Yeah, so we're pretty much me and my team we're running a business where we are running a software as service company, so where we rent out softwares for the trading industry, and then we're also helping people pass their challenges. So that's pretty much what we're doing in a nutshell. And it's a high ticket offer.
Okay, when you say challenges, can you just explain what that? I don't think anybody knows what challenges.
Yeah, so there's something called prop firms. So these are companies that will basically fund you if you can prove to them that you're a profitable trader. And what they do is they give you a test. It's called the challenge, right? So uh, so there's a huge problem in the industry right now where these challenges are super tough. The rules are super tough. Not anybody or everybody can get into these prop firms and get funding. So the challenges are super tough. They're super hard. So what we're doing is we're basically helping them pass these challenges. So we're relieving a huge problem in the industry by doing that. And then once those challenges have been passed and the client has been funded, we'll then go to step two, which is now helping them set up automated softwares on those live funded accounts. That's
Amazing,
pretty much
amazing.
it.
That's awesome. So, that's a little bit about what the business is, and we'll just jump into the questions. Now, the first one, really, think back and take your time. I came in to help you guys out around like mid-September, right? Now, during that time, mid-September, before I actually, came in and started helping restructure and all of these things, what give like a kind of a visual of what the business looked like at that time.
I mean, at that time, to be honest, just to give you a simple answer, it was kind of a mess, you can say, as far as like there were too many partners. There was essentially too much money going out to these partners. I would say that was probably the most messy part of the business. And then also, um, we were white labeling softwares as well, so which was kind of like a big mistake as well. So like we had a couple of things going that we needed to fix.
Okay. Okay. So from September, and obviously now we're in February, but from September to end of November, about how much did the company cash collect?
Just to give you kind of like a ballpark, I would say close to 400,000.
Okay.
A little under 400, like a little close to 400,000, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. So after collecting that 400,000, we did some key fixes at that time at the end of November. So up to that point, what was actually left in the bank, like in the company account after paying all of the partners
Um, hmm, I don't know, maybe about 50, 60 grand.
out of 400,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, not good.
it stings. It stings to do all that work, bring all this money in, collect cash. I always say like bringing in money, bringing more revenue, closing more clients. That part, that's the I wouldn't say easy, but that's the easier part. But keeping the money in the company, you do all this work just to have, a few $1,000s left in the account is it doesn't feel good. So why would you say, and I just kind of alluded to it and you did as well, why would you say that majority of that money was gone?
All right, so the way my set of mind frame was that if I can have multiple partners and they all do their part, right, then I essentially, as the owner, call me what you want, owner, president, whatever, I wouldn't have that much stress, right? But it doesn't. It turns out it doesn't work like that, right? Some people don't do what they're supposed to do. Some people are a little too money driven. Some people are a little too product driven. You have egos clash. It's a whole, especially too many partners. I think that was the biggest issue.
Got it. Got it. So a big key I always talk about, I just made a video about it, is, I notice a lot of founders, I see them in groups. They're literally searching for a partner. They're searching for a co-founder because they think that's the solution to their business, when it's just hard to find somebody that's actually going to care. It's not impossible, but it's very hard to find someone that's going to care about your business, your baby, the way you care about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that's what I realized over time. It just doesn't work like that. Not everybody's going to care about the business as much as you are. It's very hard to find someone.
Got it. So, how many equity partners and commission structures were draining the company at the time? So, not just the company. Talk a little bit about, who's handling sales at the time. Don't need to name any names, but kind of like structure of how that worked. Um, so the whole structure of the business.
I think there was about three equity partners, and the main issue there it was there were two issues. One was people just weren't doing what they were supposed to do, so I had to constantly babysit them, and I think that came from just ego. My percentage is higher than his, and why is my percentage too low? And instead of just focusing on the business and making the business good, like the money will come, right? But unfortunately, not everybody's like that. That's you're hopeful to find people who are like that, where they're okay with not making as much as they want to, because the money does come eventually. It could take a year, 2 years, but eventually it does. But yeah, that was the main problem. The people that I was working with, they were too money focused instead of product focused.
So it sounds like more they had a mindset that was more of an employee mindset, even though their role was more of a partner,
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
trying to get the best of both worlds, have their cake and eat it too. And it just doesn't work like that. You need to take on, if you're going to have an equity partner, if someone's going to have equity, they need to have the same responsibilities, the same amount of pressure, the same amount of the same vision as the founder of the company, or else it's not going to grow. Talk a little bit about the sales commission and sales structure at the time.
Sales structure. Oh, yeah, we were paying the closers way too much. Yeah, we're just paying them too much, hoping that at least the main guy would build the team under him, but he wasn't. He was just pretty much pocketing the whole thing. So again, money driven and not goal and product focused.
Got it. Got it. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit further on. But what were you paying the salesperson at the time?
I don't want to say. It was definitely about double what you would normally pay
Okay,
people.
that paints the picture a little bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, all right, cool. So now, at the time, did you believe that those people, the equity partners, the salesperson, did you believe that they were necessary for the company to survive?
Honestly, I don't really think it was more of a necessity. I was thinking it was more of like, all right, I just want to be able to relax finally, because I've been building this business since 2018, successfully and unsuccessfully. So, I got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm hoping that I can relax. They would do what they need to do. They would communicate with each other. I don't, at that point, at that time, I didn't mind, giving out the percentage I was giving out, hoping that everybody would do what they needed to do, but it didn't work that way.
Got it. So it wasn't like a need for the business, but it was more of a need to try to buy back your time or remove stress or take away from your plate,
Yeah.
but it ended up adding more to your plate.
Yeah, it just ended up adding more, and money. Obviously, money is going to go into their pockets,
So less money, more responsibility.
and yeah, and the biggest risk is on me since it's my company, my name, my reputation, and my merchant.
100%. And if they're equity partners, it really should be everyone's, but everyone's name, everyone's responsibility. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Essentially, it doesn't
So
work.
at the time, and I know a lot of change, there's been a lot of progression here, but at the time, if you think back to September, say early September, where would you say that your stress levels were like compared to now?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it. They were pretty high up there. And this is not even a lie. I started having, cardiac issues and
Mhm.
stress issues and a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, it was basically a snowball effect in the wrong way. It was one person then like the other person. One person was getting more equity than the other person. One wanted more equity, so then he stopped doing what he was supposed to do, and then eventually everything fell on me to now I'm sitting here fixing problems pretty much every day instead of um, moving forward and scaling the business as we should.
And you said something really important. I mean, you alluded to health issues, and there's no business that's worth your health. If you don't have your health, it's just not worth it at the end of the day, right? So if this business is going to make you money and it's going to kill you, what's the purpose of the money?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, we run businesses because we don't want to work a traditional job and get stressed out. I can easily just go work as a radiologist and make 1 million a year and not stress out about this. So,
That's another thing. You used to be a doctor as well. So doctor turned entrepreneur, and you had the option to stay in that field, but you wanted to build. You wanted something with uh, a ceiling that wasn't capped, where you could have more opportunity.
yep,
Right?
yep, 100%.
So we kind of went over this, but just really briefly, like at the time, did you feel did you feel in control or did you feel buried, like drowning?
No, I felt buried 100%. Man, I was spending 80% of my day trying to make people happy and make sure they're doing what's supposed to do instead of being the owner of the company and moving the needle forward.
When you're doing that, you don't even have time to spend with your family. You can't even hear them because I like especially my most difficult times in business, I like to like I imagine it as like my head's literally underwater. And when my head's underwater, I can't breathe. And all I want is air. And when I can't breathe, I can't hear anybody around me. I essentially become useless to my family members and everybody around me because this business is sucking the life out of me.
Yeah.
Got it. So I'm glad we're able to alleviate a lot of that pressure so you could take a breath of fresh air, right? Now, moving to really just the constraints that you were facing. What would you say was the biggest bottleneck in the company? Was it just the equity partners? Was there other bottlenecks in the business?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I would say that was it. Just the management of partners, and then I would say probably the management of employees as well, like just finding the right people and just making sure that support's on point. So that was another thing too, is like support really wasn't on point until like recently as well.
Got it. So also, so think ads as well, acquisition system, fulfillment.
Mhm.
You've come a long way in these areas.
Yeah, 100%.
So where would you say that those sectors were in September compared to now?
What specifically, like ads and
Acquisition as a whole, so ads, sales, as well as fulfillment, because these are some of the biggest bottlenecks every founder faces, right? And when you have equity partners or all these other distractions, you can't put the real focus you need into what the company needs, which is acquisition, sales, support.
yeah, 100%. So I would say like sales compared to now versus before, just I would say considerably better. There was a lot of fat that you guys helped us cut off. Especially with pricing. I was trying to go with low prices. You guys suggested, just staying with the high prices, keeping your value. Also, you guys did help us figure out um, how to build and structure the right team too. So the sales side is absolutely better too. We were trying. I was trying to get multiple closers. We're doing amazingly well with just like two right now, right? So that was another thing too. Like it was just too much, right? Less is better. So that's another thing too that you guys helped us fix. as well. Um, and then also the back end as well. Like there was some needing to be fit, like the systems in the back end needed to be fixed, and you guys helped us with that as well.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, a lot of these things, these are what the company needs. But when you're playing, uh, like helicopter parent over these partners, it just sucks all of your time. You can't put it into what actually matters.
Yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit about the structure, the, systems. Talk a little bit about the traffic. So like the, Facebook ads, the systems that, we help you implement.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the traffic as for and the systems, I mean, you guys completely helped us clean all that up. It wasn't a matter of like you guys going in there and actually doing it for us. It was more of like helping me and my team understand what needs to be cut off and what's important and what's not, right? Is more is not better, less is better. And so that was something you guys did help us understand. I wanted more closers. I wanted more complexity in the back end, so you did help clean all that up. I wanted to do what the competition is doing, which is a whole bunch of video ads and stuff like that. And you did recommend that simplicity is essential as well. So that was essentially most of what you guys helped us fix and
And
optimize.
clear messaging. A lot of people, when it comes to advertising, they think that you need some fancy video that's like you spend a bunch of money on editing and filming and scripting, but it's all about being clear. When you have clear messaging, you convert. Can you go a little bit into like how much was spent from, I mean, you can do the whole time from September to even today and how much was collected? Those
So
numbers?
realistically, from like if you go from September to what was that, the middle of September to now, I would say a little under 400K has been collected, and we've spent close to like 30,000 on ads.
Got it, got it. So that's cash collected because so we hit around 400 end of November. So what was the recent cash collected additional on top of that for February? Because there was a period of time, and we'll talk a little bit more about how it felt, but from November to end of December, we paused 100% ads, which can be very scary, but it
Yeah,
had to be done.
yeah, that was something else too. Like me personally, I don't ever pause my ads, regardless, right? So we did pause things in I think it was like towards the end of December all the way to like the third week of January, we paused things, and then we started to ramp things up a little bit slowly. So, um, for this month, we're close to what, like almost the end of the month. We closed a little over 100K, but again, we only spent like I would say a little under 7 grand on that.
Since starting back up.
Yeah, for that 100K, yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I've gone through it in my companies when you pause, it feels like scary because if you're not spending money on ads, then it feels like you're not doing anything. Like where are the leads going to come from? But
Yeah.
even after we paused, you were able to collect from the pipeline that was originally there. We're still able to collect, right? There's always, sometimes you have to take a break, you have to slow down to be able to recalibrate the system, the structure,
Yeah, 100%.
and fulfillment as well.
Yeah, just slow
So
down and see what's wrong. Mm.
amazing. So let's see here. Now, when it came to the equity partners, right? So now most of them were removed, restructured. What would you say that there was anything that was like scary or challenging about removing them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yeah, it's just challenging. I mean, you do grow, you do tend to grow attached to certain people, and I think it comes from the whole not wanting to go out and find more people, because that's a whole task itself when you have all these other things to worry about, right? So finding someone to replace that person, but I don't think you really need. I don't really think it was about replacing these people. I think it was just like you guys suggested, get rid of them, like plain and simple. Like you don't need equity partners. Like you can pretty much do everything with virtual assistants or just people in general that you can hire.
100%. I always say that, at least in the earlier stages, unless it makes 100% sense, which it rarely does. If you want to bring somebody on, you bring them on a salary instead of giving them a percent of your business.
Hmm.
Because once they have a percent of your business or equity, like you're essentially marrying that person.
You can't
Like
get rid of it at that point.
it gets
Like if you try to
very
get rid of it,
inconvenient.
they will hate you for it and they will leave. So it's
And
like
the word that, a lot of these people like to use is resentment, and just grows this resentment. So, it's not fun. It's like I learned this from one of my partners is that, they call it delivering a shit sandwich. A shit sandwich. So, it's not fun to do, but it has to be done for the betterment of the company.
somebody's got to do
Now,
it.
uh what was like the last straw? What was like the final decision before removing some of these people?
Just the back and forth every day, just drama, to be honest. Like instead of just focusing,
Unnecessary drama.
yeah, just unnecessary drama. Just focus on the product. I've always been about make the product amazing, the money will come, right?
100%.
Just something I learned from Steve Jobs, right? Stop focusing on the money, focus on the product first, the money will come. So, with these people that I was working with, it was more like money, I'm not making enough, that person's making more than me, or it's just, it got to a point where they had to go. Like it made no sense.
Got it. I always say to founders that the most difficult part of the growing the company is perfecting fulfillment, is perfecting the product. Everything else can be built around that. But if you don't have a good product or you don't have attention on it, everything else will fall. So now
100%.
we talked about it a little bit, but can you just go into kind of how, well, like what you were thinking when we did turn off those ads? It was about a month, maybe a little less than a month we turned off ads.
What was I thinking?
Yeah, like what was going through your mind that, okay, we have ads off now. We're not spending. We don't have new leads coming in.
It's simple. I mean, I just thought like, okay, cool. We might lose momentum. If we start up the ads again, maybe they won't do good as they were. There's a couple of things that were just going through my mind.
How did they actually perform them when they got turned back on?
Fine, just like they were before. I mean, it's just it's a matter of I guess just building up that data. Once you have the data, I mean, it's always going to be there. You can always rerun things the way they need to be as they were.
100%. So many people are afraid if I turn off the ad, maybe it'll never work again. That's not how Facebook works. You have the data, you have good creatives, you know how to structure in your ad accounts. It's gonna work, especially if you have a good offer. Now, let's see here. I mean, we alluded to some of these questions already. So, what we can go over now is a bit of the restructuring of the sales and sales systems, right? So, before we came in, how were sales being handled?
What do you mean?
So, we made the change from Zoom. So, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, before we were sending people directly to a funnel, right? The
Okay,
idea is
that as well, right? Like we were going straight to a VSL.
we're going straight to a VSL type of funnel. The idea behind that was, they can actually properly educate themselves on what exactly who we are, what the product is, right? So they watch the video, they see the testimonials, et cetera, et cetera. So they got kind of a good idea of what we are, who we are, what we have before they schedule a call with us, right? I realized eventually that kind of just slows them down because they have already experienced that with other companies. They're like, I already went through a funnel. I don't care. 30 to 40% of people are gonna like some people do go through the funnel, they do watch the video, but at least 40 to 50% of people are just gonna skip right on through and just try to schedule a call with you. Right. So you guys help me and my team figure out that all right, let's just get rid of the funnel. It just causes friction. Let's just send them straight to a form, collect their information, have them schedule a call, and then hit them with everything afterwards
Once they're in your ecosystem.
once they're in your ecosystem. Yeah.
And then talk a little bit about the actual like the sales process over the phone versus Zoom.
I mean, personally, I'm always a Zoom guy because I'm all about trust. You know, just like we're doing it right now. They can see your face and stuff like that. But I feel like when you're talking to like especially when you're scaling and you're talking to so many leads, at the end of the day, like that first call should, and this is what you guys help me understand, that first call should all be all about building a relationship and not selling them. You know,
100%.
whereas the team that I had before you guys came on, they were just hard closing. You know, lead would come in, hard close them, move to the next lead, hard close, move to the next lead, which used to work, doesn't work anymore. I notice, you know, with your help, and it just doesn't work. Like you need to build that trust with them. You know, a simple phone call is more than enough,
Yeah,
and then you get
I'm
another
100%
call.
against high pressure sales. Like high pressure sales turns everybody off and
It
also
doesn't
creates
work.
bad clients.
Yeah, it creates bad clients. You know, you end up getting desperate clients, and then you know that it comes and bites you in the butt later on. So it's always good to just build that relationship over a phone call, and then if they need a Zoom, cool. You know, always, you know, you guys also section it off too. So you helped us understand that that first call should not be about sales at all. I've always been about sales. I always would try to hard close it myself, or even have the team do it. But you guys helped us understand that first call should just be about building a relationship,
Qualifying them.
qualifying them, help them at least understand on some level what we have, and then give them all the information on what we have and who we are, let them digest it, and then do another call with them, and then possibly do a Zoom if they need to. So
Man.
that's been helping immensely. I mean, I mean, you look at the month of January, we only spent about a little under 8K in ad spend, and you know, we closed about 60K in sales. So, and that's pretty good considering that, you know, the sales cycle is at least a month or two sometimes, especially with the price points that we have.
With tons of leads in the pipeline.
Yeah. So you guys helped us, you know, with the email structure. Um, I've never been an email guy. Like I'll send out emails here and there just to like kind of make them aware of the calls or just try to build trust with them with results and stuff. But you guys created a batch of like 50, you know, you helped us create like 40, 50 emails. I've always been against that, but it seems like it's working. You know, you're giving them the value. Um,
And we know they're reading it, right? They talk about it on the calls, which is, super cool.
some people read it, some people don't, but I mean, it comes like high ticket is all about education, at least in my opinion. If you don't educate them enough on the offer, they're not going to buy it. You know, you may have an occasional person who just does it because they're just impulsive buyers, but that don't, you know, impulsive buyers only makes up like 10%, 20% of, you know, your total buyers. So yeah, the emails, you guys are doing something where like they're getting retargeted with valuable videos. I'm not going to get into what it's called. I'm just keep the secret so people don't know what it's called, but
Well, people will
yeah,
learn it when they join Unlock Founders. So that's that's a little bit of a little bit of a
yeah.
bonus there, one of the playbooks. Um, go into your experience. So, we helped you guys find, with our systems a closer, right? One you have two closers. We find one that has been crushing it, right? And that's primarily over the phone. Call one and even call two. And if it's needed, then you guys can do a Zoom just to kind of see face to face.
He's closed
Now,
over 100, I think maybe close to like 150K so far, I think 100, 150K in sales, and he's never jumped on a single Zoom.
oh really? That's amazing.
Nah, it was just like one of them, and they needed a Zoom with me, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah, and like they're further in the sales process, do the Zoom. Talk to them, see them face to face. Sometimes people need to see who's behind the phone. But that's incredible. So you have a rep that is a new rep that is, crushing it, crushing it. Now, let's see here. So we can go into how does the company feel now that you removed a lot of these equity partners, right? You're keeping more of the money. You're making some adjustments to save even more money. But how do you feel now that a much larger percent of the revenue that comes in is being kept?
I mean, I just give you an example. We just collected what, close to like 60K in sales just in like the last 2 weeks. And we have about, say about 30,000 still left in the bank, after everybody's been paid out and everything. So that's pretty decent. Before it would have been like 15K, 15K. And,
Amazing. And we're still even making some more changes, so then that'll be like, preferably like 40, 45K left over.
yeah, and that's just the way it should be. I mean, you gotta, that was the problem with the equity partners. They don't understand that, they're just focused on themselves. You know,
Yeah, man, that's the business needs to make money. It's the whole purpose, right? Not just to pay everybody. So
business
that's
has money, business can scale more efficiently. Everybody makes more money.
amazing, amazing. So,
It's
at
the
this stage, how does the business feel in terms of just control of everything?
I would say a lot better because I don't have partners per se anymore. I have one partner now. That's pretty much it. Um, at least one major partner, and then I have you guys, and then I don't have to babysit anymore. It's a lot more efficient. I don't have to jump on a million calls anymore. There's no more drama. Um, so it's way better now than it was 2 months ago.
Amazing, amazing. So let's see here. How do you feel like mentally, like the way that you handled pressure, say like September, August, compared to how you're handling pressure now? Has that improved at all?
I mean, it's not much pressure anymore, to be honest. It was just mostly trying to just make these partners happy.
So that's a big thing you said right there. So it's a lot of times it's not about being capable of handling more pressure, but removing the things that are causing pressure. Because I always say there's a threshold of how much any person can handle. And sure, you can push that and build that threshold so you can handle more and more. But once you hit that threshold and go above it, you pop. Then you start having health issues. You start having breakdowns. It's it happens to literally everybody. So what we help here at Unlock Founders is not just to make your tolerance higher, it's to remove the things that are getting even close to your threshold. Because everybody will pop when they're drowning.
No, it gets worse. I mean, if you don't fix it now, I mean, like, what are you gonna do when you're making $1 million a month?
It only gets worse. It only more money does not remove the pressure ever.
Yeah, I mean, it makes things way worse. And now you're like, all right, we hit $1 million a month. Okay, cool, but how much is left in the bank account? Like, you know, what about customer acquisition? Are they happy? Are the customers happy? No. And the partners are too busy worrying about themselves when it's like the clients are everything. The product is everything. Let's just focus on that. Then we can scale. Then everybody makes money. But what's the point? Like you got $1 million in sales and there's nothing left.
Like
At the
that's just like all, and I call that just taking on liability because there's no money left. All you did is bring on $1 million in liability if there's no money left. It wasn't worth it to begin with. So I'm glad everything is going in the right direction. We're almost, done wrapping up here. We just have a couple more questions. Now, more of this is for people who might be interested in Unlock Founders. What would you tell a founder at any stage that thinks that they need a co-founder or an equity partner to survive?
What was that question? Man,
What would you say to a founder or someone that's interested in Unlock Founders that believes right now that they need a co-founder or an equity partner in order for the company to survive?
you don't need partners. You literally don't. I mean, you think you do because, what was the whole point of running a business? You want to live your life. You don't want to work a traditional job. Like you want to run a business. You think that with more partners, you're going to be able to do that. But in reality, it just creates more problems because now you're dealing with more egos, right? The minute you label put a label on these people, the word partner, and you call them a partner, they're going to start to think like, okay, I own a part of the company and now I'm the owner, right? It's essentially, it's the psychology behind of it, right? And yeah, and so yeah, I mean, you do need partners, but not in the sense of like, yeah, if you're building a multi-billion dollar company,
Then you might want some partners.
you want some partners, but not, not when you're trying to make like 1 million or 2 million a month or even 5 million. Like you don't really need partners. I mean, it's not needed.
Right. They're
There's
trying to
a lot
jump
more.
from state. They're on step like 5 and they're trying to or maybe even step 10, they're trying to skip to step 50.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, it took me years to build my mindset. I'm 38 years old. Like, I'm extremely patient. Like, I can wait 2, 3 years, 4 years, and eat shit, so to speak. Excuse my language. You know,
The partners, they just want to get paid right now. They don't see it as a partnership, even though they
exactly.
are a partner.
Exactly. You're hopeful, and at least it does work in the beginning, the first month or two. But eventually, once the money starts flowing in, people change. They start shooting. It's just it is what it is, right? It's very hard to find people who are going to be at that same level as you.
And I would just expect to not find them until one day they may show up. But if, especially I know from my experience, when you're searching for that person and anybody you meet, you will pick wrong, and they need to prove themselves over time for you to believe that there's somebody that you can actually trust to be a part of your company.
100%.
Now, just a couple more questions here. Who would you say is who would you say is not a good fit for this advisory for unlock founders?
I don't understand the question.
Who's not a good fit? Like who shouldn't do this?
Who should not do? Oh, who shouldn't work with you guys?
Yeah.
Um, People who don't like to listen. Like I've met business owners who just have huge egos and they just refuse to listen, and eventually their businesses crash. Like you got to be teachable. Like you don't. There's always somebody that knows more than you. And you can look at the biggest marketers. I mean, even they have mentors. So you gotta be teachable. You always gotta have the mindset where you can always learn more.
That's amazing. That's an amazing answer. Now, who do you think desperately needs this right now, but they don't realize it?
Mm, I think people who I would say people who think they're doing good, plain and simple. Like people who think they're doing good, but they're not. Right? They're pretty much in denial. Right? They're probably like, oh, I'm not, I hit a quarter million for the month, but how much money do you have left? Or how many partners are bleeding you dry? Or maybe you're overpaying for things you're not supposed to be paying for, right? So I would definitely say people, because you were asking me who needs this, right?
Who needs this desperately but doesn't realize it? And you gave it a great answer. Someone that is making money on the outside, it looks like really good money, but everything internally in the business.
It's just going wrong. Yeah. That's what happens to a lot of business owners. You make 100K, 200K, and it's your first 100K month, or it's your first 200K month, and you think you made it.
Think you figured it all out.
You figure it out, but then you realize, like, well, you get that dopamine hit, but then it runs out, and now you're like, I have no money left in the bank account. I have partners who are talking crap about me. I'm overpaying for systems I'm not supposed to be paying for. It becomes a conglomerate of multiple messes, and it does not work. So there's things a lot more important than just making money. Let's just say that.
100%. I always say that, we start as founders because we want to make money. And you learn very quickly that the only way to consistently make money and keep it is to become the person that deserves the money that you want. If you want to have $1 million in the bank, $10 million in the bank, more, you have to become that person that deserves it. It's not just about bringing in revenue. There's so many constraints inside of every single business that has to be resolved first before you scale. It's not simply about bringing in revenue. That's the easy part. And not that it's easy, but compared to everything else, that's the easy part. Now, one final question. In one sentence, from September to now, what changed for you?
A whole bunch of stuff. I mean, there's more money in the bank account. There's a lot less babysitting involved because I don't have all those extra partners anymore. Um, there's a realization. I'm having a bigger realization of also like 'cause I tend to underlook what we're spending on. So I'm paying more attention to what we're spending money on as well, which I wasn't doing before. I was just too focused on the product, right? Because that's part of, my main role here in the company is the product along with my partner. Um, so just we're focusing more on how much money is going out, what are we spending money on. Also, I've said to you guys, you and your team several times, let's scale, let's scale, let's scale. I think things are doing good. Things look good where money's coming in, the conversions are right, but that doesn't really matter. And that's just the type of person I am. Like I would like that's my personality. I jump out of the plane and I kind of build the parachute as I go down. But I think I've come to a point where you guys help me slow down a bit and realize that there's things that need to be fixed before you scale. And then you just scale and then guess what? Like there's no money left in the bank account. What's the point?
And then once you fix everything, then you can scale. And then all the money just comes. It's beautiful, man. I really appreciate the time you took here with me to do this interview. I'm glad we're able to help you make these key changes, fix a lot of these constraints, and it's only going to get better from here. So again, thank you so much, Nasir. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on here.